Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that everyone is feeling good. Thanks for joining us today for this Teach In Tuesday. And wherever you are, hope that you are well and joining us in the space with equity for education, not just in Chicago public schools, but on a broader sense. That is one of the anchors in why we do this and bring you an opportunity to engage, for us, the opportunity to engage with parents in Chicago and really across the of Illinois. Um, my name is Natasha. I am Raise Your Hands director. As I've said before, I'm a forever parent organizer. So I enjoy this, being in this space with you all as an opportunity to talk to parents who are busy on the go and engaging us from, however they engage with, virtual space. And we do this because there's so much that's happening in Chicago public schools, and we really want to have an opportunity to, talk to parents. So engage with us if you have questions, if you have comments. We would love to engage with you in that way. And if in the future you're interested in joining us on screen, we would love to have you on and engage in that way as well. I'll land there.
Hey y'all, my name is Chinella. I am the Pure Illinois Parent Organizer here at Raise Your Hand. Happy to be here. Happy to provide this space for you guys so that we can learn and grow together. Don't CPS alone. Before we get started with the conversation, Kendra, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Kendra. I am Raise Your Hands parent organizer. I'm a mom of a few CPS graduates. I got one coming out this year, still a couple of in elementary school. And as like Natasha said, I am forever a parent organizer, and I am happy to be here with you all today.
Thank you so much for that. So, we can go ahead and get started with this conversation. Do you guys want to start with the Board of Education meeting that just happened last Thursday? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, check in. How was the experience? I know you were signed up to speak, and yeah, I'm curious what that experience was like. I appreciate that it was at on the South Side, right? It was good to see, that space, more accessible to, you know, my neighbors. Quite honestly, it was nice to not have to fight for somewhere to park at 42 West Madison. And so, I really did appreciate that it was in a community, but man, it was a lot of heavy stuff being discussed.
It was a good parent turnout too, I believe, because of where it was, not having to be downtown. So I appreciated being on the South Side, and they need to do that more often, definitely. I'm sorry for jumping in. Go ahead.
No, like I that is the consensus. It sounds like because I wanted to uplift that as well. When CPS has meetings for certain things, they do tend to be downtown or in one of their offices, and it's really not often that they are out on the south side. And then also at a time that's reasonable that parents could attend. There were a lot of children sitting there, and so you could tell that parents probably picked up their children after they got out of school and were able to make it. So also having the youth there to be able to witness what's going on in these rooms and how you know they should be welcome to speak as well, to talk about what's going on since it's their education. Um, um, so yeah, I'm happy that it was finally on the south side at CVCA in the evening, so that everyone could get there and attend. Um, does someone want to talk about anything that they heard or thoughts that they had about the discussions?
You go for it. You can kick us.
Okay, cool. So I guess I can start with myself. And so we just finished up the LSC elections. And so I did register to speak, and that was what I wanted to speak about. We saw that there were, personally, we were experiencing issues with our own LSC journeys this term, this election cycle. And so Raise Your Hand created a survey. So it was sent out to all stakeholders. It was sent out to individuals that ran, individuals that were voting. I know that even a couple of judges did fill out the applications. And so I just expressed and highlighted, some of the things that we did receive back from that survey. It seems to be a consistent issue that especially community members are not aware that they can vote in the LSC elections. It's not being advertised. So that was a lot of the feedback that we did get. The survey is still ongoing. We'll drop the chat later. We'll drop the link later, because we definitely do want to keep pulling in those surveys to get that data so that we can figure out what it is that we need to ask of the board to make sure that this process is a democratic process, as it should be, just like any other Illinois election. I tend to ramble, so I'm going to stop there for a second. Did anyone want to pick up?
Well, what were some of the specifics? So, like you named that there were things that came up in the survey. Let's talk about what came up in the survey. What are some of the consistent issues?
Okay, so yeah, sure, I can do that. Y'all know I'm always trying to find some notes. But one of the main things is that a lot of the instructions were not clear when it came to voting. A lot of so it was a consensus that the training that the judges had it wasn't the same. It seems like it wasn't the same from everyone didn't get the same type of training, so there was confusion when it was time to relay how many votes you do have, how many people you can vote in which sections and things like that. Um, what else did we hear? There were a lot of schools that again just didn't take the process seriously. We had some schools where they were not holding the candidate forums on time. Um, they were not properly displaying candidate statements and things like that. Some schools weren't even taking them down. You're supposed to take them down 24 hours before the day of voting, and so we saw that some schools were not taking that down. Um, some schools were also not holding their student elections within the official time frame. And again, this is a problem for us because this is supposed to be a democratic process. As a LSC official, you're an elected official, so we would want the schools and the judges and the processes that are put in place to be taken seriously and upheld. And again, we had a few individuals that did mention that, like I said, they heard nothing about the LSCs from their alder persons or in their neighborhood newspaper. It wasn't posted around the school. Some people were finding out the day of that they had the ability to vote. Um, and so, with some of those things that we were hearing, like I say, we're looking to hopefully be able to work with CPS to adopt some better practices. We are always here speaking about the trust that CPS does not have from the community. And so, certain things as such as reaching out to the Board of Election for training for the judges to ensure that the process is democratic, to ensure that they're taking it seriously, to ensure that voting is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Election judges and, those people should not be walking out at 6:15, 6:45, 6:55. They should be finishing the process at 7 to ensure that people can, exercise their right to vote. And then also just develop that clear and consistent training. So again, that everybody is doing the same thing. There is not any confusion. Kendra mentioned, she's a mom, she's a grandma, so she's in different schools. I have two kids in two different schools. When I go to one school, it should be the exact same voting process. The people that are there doing doing the election coordinating should be telling me the exact same rules and processes as any other school that I should go to. So yeah, we're just looking to tighten things up and make sure that people are aware that they can vote, especially community members. It is very important that everybody plays a role. We're all stakeholders, and it looks like it's getting lost in translation that if people don't have an investment as in a child in the school, then they are feeling like what's the point? And it's because CPS is not doing the best job of letting people know that they need to get out and get those votes in. I told y'all I ramble. I'm sorry.
Also, some things that was picked up that elections were not even held. We got some schools that didn't get votes. Um, People didn't go at all, and I believe that was because they were not told, not even aware when they came into the school. So that's one of the biggest issues for me, because how do you not know? How do you not tell someone? So yeah, that's something that definitely needs to be addressed, like that part. And like you said, the rules. I've seen a lot of what you call it, electioneering done wrong. They were on the property and no one was saying anything. And, just as an average parent coming up saying something that, you know, who wants, we live in Chicago, you don't just, pick that battle with people. So, yeah, those things, I would hope that the training and those things just get a lot better in this next cycle. Um, that the LSCs take their module trainings together so that not even just for the voting process, like the rules apply for everyone and everybody see them the same way, like the way you interpret something, listening to those modules might not be, I'm not even gonna say might not be, don't be the same way. It's not clear, and then you might lose a little focus. You might walk away from the computer for a second. So, I feel like I encourage any parent that did, parent, community, teacher, school student that joined, that was elected for their upcoming LSC to definitely pay attention to those module trainings and get your whole council on board together.
Yeah, I mean, y'all already said it. I'll just you know, add that this has been a consistent issue for the last, so this is now the third cycle. 2020 was a bit unique in that, it was in the prime of the pandemic. So there were, things with the mail, vote by mail that wasn't desirable. But this, notion around the lack of communication, the lack of consistent practices, right? If I voted here in my far south side neighborhood at the community schools, I should have the same experience as anyone else. No different, to Charnella's point, than if you were voting in a municipal election. LSC elections are not, voting for best dress. It is a citywide election, that must be taken seriously. So I do have concern that we find ourselves with some of the same process gaps, that we have parents who, went to vote or had community members go to vote for a parent rep, a parent candidate, and to be told that they could only vote for a total of 2 votes. I think we talked about this a little bit, but the lack of training or consistency in, the training is concerning. It's something that I would love to continue to see what comes up in the survey. But I think where we are at this point is that there is an issue with the system. The system is broke in some ways. And the schools that have amazing communication, the school communicates the candidate and posts them. They, held the candidate forum within the time frame they were supposed to, ensure that parents had their punch number or the number associated with their name on the ballot, that understood how they can have poll watchers throughout the day, and what that process looked like. For schools that, had a great experience, that's great. What we need to do is make sure that that happens across the city. And I can tell you that there are huge process gaps when it comes to the disservice in this, like you said, undemocratic. At this point, it's an undemocratic process for a third cycle now, and where there's always this narrative around where the persistent vacancies are. This is a part of that. I mean, there's some work to do, both for the school and the community to, engage parents and bring them back into the school. Many of whom say they feel pushed out or not welcomed, are probably not going to, put their name in the hat for the LSC. But where there's a communication gap, we have been very focused on sharing this with the district. We've done, after the LSC election reports, we've sent them to, the Office of Local School Council Relations. I think it may have been CC'd to the LSC Advisory Board, which, and have shared that with CPS board, previous board, but still, it's baffling to me that we still have these issues, and really concerning for I think future elections as well. So I would love to see folks, whether you voted or not, fill out this election survey. The link is in the chat, or scrolling across your screen. This is an opportunity for us to provide the district with to provide, that threw me off a little bit. This is an opportunity for the district to improve processes, and really address the issues. And I think and the issues aren't just with the elections. I think it's a reflection of experience that we see people have across the district that don't feel supported, that feel, threatened in ways. We see schools that are giving off um, the optics that there's a lack of integrity, where, I don't want to go into details, because if I do, I feel like we'll be here for a minute, but where we have administrators trying to influence LSC elections, like, we cannot have that. And I hear that there are a number of LSC election challenges, and I believe it's a reflection of the inconsistent compliance with policy, both with those that the Office of Local School Council Relations, had in terms of judges. Like, we aren't blaming the people. This is a systems issue, because it's happened across far too many elections now.
And then, so I just wanted to just highlight again that that is the main, that's like the ask for consistency. Everybody, we need to make sure that these trainings everyone is being taught the same thing. One of the asks that I had when I spoke at the board meeting was to have a one-stop spot for all of the LSC everything, for all of the schools. I think that it would be very, very beneficial if there was one site where a person could go and they could look at a certain school and see who are all the candidates. They can see their candidate statements and their photos. They can see the form. Maybe they didn't have time to go to the form, so it should be posted where they can view it. So that was something that I did see several times in the surveys, that, people wanted to vote. They just didn't know who to vote for because it wasn't advertised, and they were having difficulty finding out who was actually running. So to have a space where all of that information can be housed, and I feel like it might even be possible to have like some election judge Q&A real quick, there somewhere. But we also know that the reason is because in our schools, in our Black and brown schools, they're not promoting it as they would in the more affluent neighborhoods. So if there is a space where grassroots organizations can help put this together, I think that would be that would help bring that trust back. We need people who have been doing this work. As Natasha said, this is the third cycle. I did some digging into the survey that Raise Your Hand did in 2020. So this is consistent, and these surveys are meant for us to know what it is that we need and we're telling you what we need, and this is, this is how we can bring it together to, yes, to improve those processes. And we grassroots organizations need to be at the head of it. I think that's the main takeaway for me when I hear these issues that people are experiencing with LSC. Like, we need the grassroots organizations to get back in and do the things that need to be done.
I just don't truly don't trust the district, point blank. Like I said, we have to um you got me, I'm saying back to back. But yeah, we just gotta have more control of the process, point blank. I spoke on the schools not having elections. So uh I was doing work, and I seen that there were some schools with 0 votes. So, if there were 0 votes, that means either you didn't have an election or you didn't record what happened. Either way is messed up. So I don't know if it wasn't enough judges. I don't know really what the process was, but according to what CPS put on their website, there were schools with 0 votes. I don't know what happened, and I don't know how that makes sense, but that's a horrible thing. I have my daughter went into a school and she was not even told about a election at all. Wasn't presented to say, no one said, go this way for your LSC vote or anything. So yeah, according to the data, it was schools that a few on the south side for sure, that did not have an election at all. So I don't know, how do you fix that? Like, I know it's some schools that, one being that I wanted to run for community rep and was almost encouraged not to by the LSC. What do you call them? The LSC person in the school, the LSC coordinator. It was like, we haven't had a functioning LSC in 13 years. And I was like, well, don't you want one? And, it just wasn't important to them. So that's the mindset that I wish all of these schools get out of. Like, we are hitting the ground, canvassing to encourage parents to go to these meetings, to join their local school councils. And that's just something that's really like dear to me, that we just can't keep going with the way that they want things set up. So,
yeah. And the main thing there is, when a school becomes, to say that out loud is bold. Because essentially that is a school that operates, or that is accustomed to operating without the governance that's required and backed by the law. LSCs aren't optional, right? Again, it's not voting for best dress. So that is concerning. Is a school that has that, I'd be interested to look at the data. A lot of times you can see, some things, but I'm also interested in the culture, like how, if there's no LSC, there's no accountability, right? Even the best principal who's ready to be the next, president of principals, right? Of all things, every one of us needs feedback. So to be evaluated is important, right? And to have accountability to the primary, the parents, the community members, the teachers, the non-teacher staff, the students, is important. So that's really, really concerning. And if you're hearing it at one school, that's probably the vibe at many schools. And so to feel pushed out, and I don't want to, I guess, I'll land the plane with really saying that, I don't know the conditions, but when parents are not on the LSC, it is not because they don't care about their children's education or they don't want to be there. More times than not, there's a myriad of reasons, and also not feeling welcome is in the top two. So to say that you were not feeling welcome as a community member, I'm sure that's the same for other parents, right? So, if you chip everyone off, then you continue to, you know, use that budget as you would like to, and probably isn't prioritizing the academic and social emotional needs of the students.
Absolutely. This LSC also had no parents to submit applications, so that's absolutely the case.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Shall we move on? Where we going next, Charnella?
Was it anything else that anybody wanted to highlight from anything that they heard from the board meeting before we move on?
Heavy stuff. I mean, there was a lot of quite a majority of speakers were representative of the unions who are in. I want to say there are several unions that are in contract negotiations. So there were a lion's share of the speakers were from that. So the voices that I heard that were parents and community, outside of that lane, was pretty devastating. I heard the parent speak, powerfully, very clearly about issues that was happening and a lack of accountability and transparency and follow up at Marshall High School, which, we've held back, in a few years back where we've held live streams or webinars talking about the need for holistic whole school safety. Marshall was a high school that has consistently come up. Like, I'm not saying there were 5 parents in this one year that was talking. I'm talking consistently over the years. There's been a lack of accountability. There's been a strong need to have, some uh, recourse when, administration fails to act, and above all, keep their children safe. And so, it was hard to hear what her child's experience was. So, I don't want to regurgitate it because it can be triggering for what she's shared, but essentially, very early in the school year, this school year, so that would have been August or September, is kind of what I gleaned. Excuse me, that something was given to her child who it sounds like there should have been a SICA somewhere involved, which is a special education, classroom aid, and as shared by the parent, there was a lack of protection of her child, and they were harmed and potentially lost consciousness. And not feeling like you have the full story of what happened. Those things bring nightmares as a parent. Just think about when your kid doesn't text you back when they're out, and you're just like, "What's going on?" To not have the full, responsiveness, or what she felt like was the lack of responsiveness is just deflating. I know I had experienced that. Not myself personally, but when parents, over the years have come to the district asking for action, uh, you know, to see them be met with inaction is infuriating, and a point to organize with. So I kind of segue there because I do want to talk a bit about another school that is trying to get some accountability around their administrator. Did you want to share? Should I go ahead and share that?
Yes, please. Yeah, I think that it was really hard for me to hear, especially being there in person. So I didn't want to stay. I don't need to comment on it. So yes, please.
Kendra, did you have thoughts that you want to share from that? Marshall's experience?
As a mother, and I know all parents like love their kids, but I'm one of them mothers that I really don't play about my kids at all. So to hear that mother speak, to be in the room, it was hurtful to know that she was ignored. I don't know if my approach would have been as calm as hers was. So yeah, just we got to protect our babies. And when you send your child to school, especially like, I might be at work and my phone might have went dead and there might be things that go on. And it's like, I'm putting my precious gifts in your hand and for something to happen and then you not, it's not even not that she was not being, that she didn't get communication. It was like they was dismissing her thoughts and her feelings. And that is something that really has to stop in these schools because, we might not say out of anger, you might not say all the right words. But if you're a parent, if you are a person in a school, and I would take that CPS workers don't just do it for a job. I can't say that everybody just don't go there to get their check, but I would hope that if that's a profession that you went into, you have some type of passion, at least for the kids. And yeah, it was just heartbreaking to know that this mother was dismissed and felt dismissed. I don't know, all the details, that she felt dismissed, that she felt that she wasn't getting any answers, and in a sense, still haven't gotten any answers. So, yeah, that was hard to see. I'll land it there.
I was pausing for Chanela. But just you know, quickly in situations like this. So I'll talk about this next school, and is just because I feel like they're connected. Marine Leadership Academy. Marine Leadership Academy is a school that is, I feel like from what I've heard them say, are really going through it, and they have for years. This dates back to, if you all recall, there was local, national, and a lot of discourse, but there was media around the cover up and underreporting, the lack of accountability around keeping their children safe, their lack of physical safety. And so that was a full gamut from, unreported bullying to a failure to report, sexual violence or assaults or grooming. And it was a culture that you know, has been described as it was a rape culture that was unchecked for many, many years. There were students who had at least one student who had taken their life as a result of this unchecked culture. This was all reported in the media. If you are interested or not aware, I will say trigger warning, that, for sensitivities around children not being safe. But if you Google Marine Leadership Academy, you will see some of the previous media. And then if you attend the monthly board meetings since last summer of 23, the Board of Governors, it's a different concept, but it's essentially that school's concept of an LSC, who are elected in by their constituents or the parents, if you will, have been coming to the board meeting every single month, demanding accountability for an administrator who was put in after that climate of unsafe climate, who has not helped the situation. And I heard them come in with clear policy violations, concerns for this administrator's ability to help cure or heal the school community. And so to see the recent media of the what it sounds like, I don't know where the narrative came from, but in the media it was reported that this principal was getting a promotion and would leave the school at the end of the year. That is not the right thing to do. You do not, the lack of accountability communicates and says a lot. How do those parents, how are they to feel? And it shows in the recent article that came out about this, notion that the principal is being promoted. That flies in the face of the alleged policy violations, the lack of, children's safety. So when the Board of Governors goes to the board and say, we want to have this investigated, when the response is, we're promoting her, no response. The only response is, we're promoting her. That flies in the face and goes to the point of the parent at Marshall, right? Yep. That is, and if there are two that we know about, we know that this is more widespread. And we can only do that because we can assume that there are folks who fear speaking out and coming forward, and are really suffering in silence, and probably not organized or supported by the community because they probably just don't know what to do in a culture that is persistent without accountability, transparency, and such. So I said a lot. I'm gonna hop off my soapbox here, but it is something that really does rattle me because in both instances, we, that's why we, really want to focus on this whole school safety, push. It is important. We're not talking about the SRO. We are talking about the need for relational trust, physical safety, all the, the things that, that includes, that the way you drop your child off at school is the way they come back home to you. We know that there are traumas with being violated that last you a lifetime, that impacts how you become a parent, how you are a spouse or a partner, right? It is life shifting. So to see this lacks of accountability is truly, truly infuriating. And I think the last point that I wanted to say about whole school safety is in the, at least what I hear communicated, is the need to put some focus on that. And then also the social emotional needs of our young folks. I know during the pandemic, we talked a lot about, I think there was an acknowledgement from educators that there was going to be a need to hold students, that this isn't normal to go through this pandemic, to be outside of school from their peers. So we were going to be ready to take care of them. We're, in a large, sector of the city, we're still looking for that, that grace, that support. We're starting to see punitive discipline go in the wrong way. And I think when we not focus so much on on that social emotional, I think that we start to see some real troubling terms. There's accountability with students, but not across the adult spaces, and that's really concerning.
No, that's really jacked up, if that's the best way I can say it. And I always take it to, you hear a lot of conversations about people that like flip the blame on things that go on in the school on the kids. And we can't do that because they trying to get to what adults in the building are. That's the goal, to raise them up and get them there. But I hear that from CPS staff more than anything, like, can't do nothing because these kids is something different. And it's like, no, they're not. They're the same kids we was. We were the same way. So stop using that excuse. They are a little bit different, but they still the same. They still So they are kids. They cut from what we was cut from. It's just, life is changing, and you just can't keep blaming that. Accountability is the biggest thing, and adults in the building definitely need to step up and take that and hold their own.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we not nothing is ever going to be the same how it was pre-pandemic. But then we are also forgetting that we were already not receiving the things that we needed before the pandemic. And so I was really, when we were coming back to school and CPS was talking about how they were going to start handling mental health and social emotional learning and things like that. I don't know, that was just me being hopeful. I probably should have known better. But I feel like it lasted a tad bit, but it didn't last long. And something common that I always hear CPS say, like, again, they keep using the words getting back to normal, and we're never going to get back to normal. Our children they've experienced a number of things back to back to back that so y'all don't have the experience. None of us had the experience. None of us been through a pandemic. And so we need to start figuring out how to move forward with the way that things are now.
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to go back to something, because going back, it wasn't all that anyway.
Right.
And I just really, I also think that it's the fact that our youth are becoming so much more vocal about their emotions. And I think about, if it was me in the time where I was growing up, and I'm expressing how I'm feeling to a teacher or whoever in the school, being labeled with an attitude and having issues, when it could have been that, but also why. And so when we have the people inside the school saying that it's these kids and these kids are different, and even if that's what you feel, why? Like, you're not asking the questions and taking the time to find out what it is that they're going through, and what it is that they need to help them to move forward. So yeah.
Accountability, transparency is important. I hope that there is a move to truly address. Quite honestly, we're reaching out to organize with these parents because that's what we do. And there's some real concern. There's information that we're hearing, and yeah, it needs to be addressed. And I think this isn't unique. Just like the LSC election, these are persistent issues. I'm not sure if there is, I guess we'll see. That I was going to reference and go back to the IG reporting on some things, but I feel like when you see something in an IG report over the years, and there's no remedy, there's systematic failure. And so those things, we have to, like, never be quiet about things like this. And scrolling across the screen is, listen, don't CPS alone. Being in the Chicago, public schools, as a parent, as a young person, as community, a neighbor, an educator, we, host events throughout the month where it's, really super important for us to feel less alone. So really encourage folks to reach out. The organizers are, definitely here sharing their information for folks to connect. I think when there are more voices rowing in the same direction, more people rowing in the same direction, or, we refine our support and organize, that things will be done.
Yep. So I guess that take us to this. We have a parent meeting tonight. Well, in about 40 minutes, and we encourage you all to join our leaders meeting tonight. It is virtual. We're gonna unpack some of the same things that and you'll be able to, well, no, we're gonna talk about a few different things, but also you just get the opportunity to speak with other parents and raise your hand staff about some issues going on in your school and the schools across the city. So tonight, well, this evening at 5:30, can drop the link in the chat for you all to register, and please join us at about 5:30 tonight. Wednesday, May 1st, that's tomorrow. We have a couple of module trainings, the roles and responsibility and principal evaluation. And we encourage you to log on. Those are also will be dropped in the chat. Yeah, we encourage you to sign up and take those module trainings, because the only way you're going to know your roles and responsibility and the principal evaluation is to let us tell you all about it.
Yes, and no, they, especially for newly elected LSC individuals, you want to make sure that you do get all of those trainings in. We also have on Thursday, May 2nd, our LSC Solidarity Call. And so that is a space where LSC members can come to feel heard and seen and just discuss what's going on. We can share resources. Yeah, it's a space for us to get together and have that community and that solidarity with each other. Again, don't CPS alone. There might be something going on in your school within your LSC, and you're thinking it's a unique situation. And this space is to, not only help you see that it might not be, we're here to help you out, but then also talk about and talk through, solutions for you. And then the other thing that we have is that we are looking for people to fill out that 2024 LSC election feedback survey. So yeah, that link is going to be dropped as well. We're looking for all the responses, whether you voted or not, whether you're a candidate, a community member, a student. We want to hear what your experience was, election judges as well. If there's anything that you want to share. And then also share that link with other individuals so that we can get those responses and start digging through it so that we can be able to present CPS with our needs. Let them know what it is that we need them to do to make sure that this process runs smoothly after being let down for the last few cycles.
Yeah. I want to go back to what I was saying about the module trainings. I did not mention that those trainings are in person at the Inglewood Branch Library on 1745 West 63rd Street. I would like to hear about, no, I didn't mean to say that. We encourage you to register and attend that training. One thing that I want to say too, we want to hear from parents, and especially tonight, if you can attend this leaders meeting, we want to hear some positive things that's going on in the schools. Like, we know that everything is not horrible. We know that it's some LSCs that are ran correctly. We know that there are some schools on the South Side that are welcoming, and some of them that's actually getting it right. And we don't just want this to be a CPS bashing thing. We just don't want y'all to CPS by yourself. that's why we encourage the parents to join, raise your hand with the programs that we have, just so we can all make it, actually use it for a model. Like if you have some good things going on, come and share that so that we can share those practices with the schools that's not having the good things going on. But I do encourage you all to register to join us in our parent leader meeting in about 35 minutes.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Kendra. Yeah, it is important to mention that. Yeah, we want to hear the good things too. We do have a lot of we do get a lot of LSC members that feel defeated in what they're doing, ready to give up. And so if you're doing something right, you're doing something good, you love your LSC board, come and share that with us. Give us we need to bounce off of each other. So share that encouragement with us so that we can keep going. Because I've been one of those people that wants to stop and give up as well on the LSC at times. Before, just want to check, Natasha, did you want to say something before I go ahead and close?
I'm good. Good. If y'all good, I'm good. Following the flow, following your leadership. I will just say this is an opportunity for folks to, tap in. Where there are tables that you don't feel welcome, bring a chair, bring your own chair. Refuse to feel pushed out of your child's education. When Kendra say she don't play about her kids, me either. I will go to the end for mine. And when I was on an LSC, I did. I was relentless. There was, if you had an issue, which parents brought issues to us because we were a responsive LSC, parents and educators shared a ton of information with us to help us, heal and cure the issues that we were having at the school. So if you're currently on an LSC, don't LSC alone, right? We have folks that, in the LSCs for All Coalition, folks who have decades of experience, whose brain I pick and are thought partners, who can help share processes to turn things around and get some accountability, and to protect our children and adequately educate them. So, if there is ever, I kind of lost the thought, but I was going with, we talk about the issues. There are solutions, and it's within us as people, right? When we are organized, when we are together, I have elders who, used to tell me, join an organization. And I didn't really understand it. Then I joined an organization and it was like, oh, okay. Because there was someone in that space, no matter what the situation, that was able to, give some tools and support. And I think LSCs is like a reflection of that these issues are happening at your school. There's a lot of things that can happen at the LSC table, particularly because of that, evaluation of the principal. There are policies, there are things back in the Illinois school code that allow an LSC to make sure that accountability, responsiveness happens. So, feeling empowered, attending those trainings that Kendra talked about are really key and crucial to make sure that we can duplicate these positive experiences that's happening over the city, because we hear about those a lot. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that folks understand that it is a lot of power at the LSC, the Board of Governors, that, should continue to rise up, organize. If you aren't already a part of our Raise Your Hand LSC Google group, you must be a current serving LSC member. Join that group. There is a lot of solidarity that happens in the space. And join Shanella this Thursday for the LSC Solidarity Call, where we'll be talking a lot about the current year budget. We're hearing the stories. We really want to invite folks to join us, share with us the concerns that you have with your budgets. We hear that there are schools that want to appeal their budgets. Let's talk about it. We are hearing from schools that are really concerned about what they don't see. And so let's have a conversation around equity, right? Where that we can prioritize the children that, need things, and where the LSC can really use their power to get them. So I want to land there. Back over to you, Chanela.
Yeah, thank you for that, Natasha. Thank you again, everybody, for hanging out with us for this past hour. We hope we left some valuable nuggets, valuable information with you. Again, don't forget to like and share on all the platforms: X, YouTube, Facebook. Did we get that TikTok up yet? It'll be soon. But yeah, check out our website, please. We want to hear from you, whether it's good, bad, indifferent. We want to hear from you. And before I close, I had a thought and I had a quote that I wanted to share, but Natasha, you just moved me. And so what I want to leave us with is the people closest to the pain should be the closest to the power. We deserve seats at those tables. The tables were actually built for us. And so we need to start. We need to start enforcing that, and making our voices heard. We know what's wrong, and we know how to fix it. And yeah, come see us and let's figure out how we could get that done together. So again, thanks for hanging out with us today, and hopefully we'll see you guys later on in about 30 minutes. See you tomorrow at the LSC module training, and then hopefully on Thursday as well. Y'all have a good one.